Hello dear students, welcome to this class of BA Part First English Literature. And dear students, today we'll discuss the essay by Francis Bacon, and the title of this essay is Of Youth and Age. Now, as in the previous video I told you about the writer, the essayist Bacon and his life, how Bacon has an aristocratic background and how at a very tender age he had the knowledge of court. Now, dear students, we come to this essay of youth and age, which is prescribed in your syllabus. This essay of youth and age by Bacon, it compares the two ages. What are the two ages? The two ages are the youth and old age, that is the young and the old. The essay, it expresses the advantages and disadvantages of both the ages. Uh, Old age and young age, they both have some advantages and they also have some disadvantages, that is merits and demerits. So Bacon in this essay very precisely sums up what are the merits of young age and what are its demerits, and in the same way he also gives us glimpses of the advantages and disadvantages of the old age. So we can say that Bacon in this essay he talks of the age, experience and the logic. He says that youth and old age, they have been contrasted and compared from times immemorial, and they both have their own merits and demerits, that is their own limitations and their merits. Bacon, he points out that youth, the young, possess the spirit of enterprise, that is they have the energy and they are able to show their energy, and he says that youth has the energy but it lacks in maturity, and youth, it often becomes rash and takes some very uncertain decisions which can lead to some disastrous consequences. So we can say that young men full of energy, they take decision in haste, while the old men, they have the experience of life, they cannot take risks, and they are not satisfied even with a small success in any venture. Bacon advised both the young people and the old people that they should be associated with the projects or an effort and enterprise. He says that both the stages of life, both the ages, young and old, they have their own merits and demerits, and he is of the view, Bacon, he is of the view that the characteristics of young age and old age can help in getting success, especially in business. Bacon, he first describes the drawbacks of youth. What are the drawbacks of youth? And he says that youth, the young people, they have energy, but they are lacking experience that the old men have. So he says that generally young people have certain shortcomings in them, and they present foolish thoughts. The errors of youth which they commit can be dangerous. They can prove to be fatal. It is because of certain characteristics which Bacon highlights. They are weakness of youth in attempting too much thinking, only about the end. They only think about the end goal, but they ignore the means. What will be the means to achieve that goal? They do not plan properly and they do not execute properly. So they should not ignore the means. And holding on to the imperfect principles, reckless innovations, extreme remedies, and reluctance to acknowledge the errors. So they are also they commit errors, but they are also reluctant not to. They do not acknowledge their errors. While on the other hand, Bacon also talks of the merits of the young people. He says that youth has lively and imagination. They are full of imaginative ideas. Their imagination can lead to wonders. And the thing is that they should imagine, but they should also put their ideas into reality by following a logical sequence, by following the actual means, the resources, and actual planning. The youth, uh, they can, a young man, a youth, in his young age, he says they have plenty of energy, and this energy can bring wonders. They are full of adventures, but they do not tolerate partial success. They are capable of taking immediate decisions. The young men, they take decisions immediately. Thus, young people have many advantages over old people, he says. Now, he talks about the drawbacks of the old people. The old age, Bacon says, men of age, he says, they object too much. As dear students, you might have seen that your parents, they often object to your ideas, or they often obstruct your thoughts. Say this is good, this is better. So they keeps on advising. So the old men, first of all, they object too much. Consult too long. For any given time, they will consult on the subject for too long, and they do not have the spirit of adventure. They this lack of adventure is not present in the old, and they repent too soon and seldom drive business home to the full period, but content themselves with the mediocrity of success. Unquote. These are the actual words of Francis Bacon, which he has written in this essay. Now he describes the merits of the old, and he says that old men are more experienced than the young men, and they are guided in their action by their experience. And this experience, dear students, is very important. Now Bacon says that they are less imaginative. Old people, they are less imaginative. They argue too much, very argumentative, because they have a vast experience. So on each and every idea, or on each and every thought that the young men present, they argue too much, consult too long, and seldom push an affair right through the end. In this essay, Bacon says that the wise course, what should be the right course, what should be the wise course, is the course of golden mean. And what is this golden mean? He advises that the merits of both young and old men should be employed in business, which requires immediate efficiency, efficiency in future, external success. So this combination of moral freshness of youth and the experience of the old will bring success. It can do wonders. When both old men and young men are employed, young men will learn from the elders and will themselves grow older and thus have the advantage of old age also. In this essay, Bacon, he tries to bring to light an important fact about young people. He gives example from the history, ancient history, and he points out that youth sometimes fails to fulfill in uh, its promises. And he says that there are some young men who have an early maturity. That is, they are rich in idea. Now he talks about himself because he himself was very rich in idea. He has read a lot, and this, he says, is learnt from your history, your experience. He says that young men sometimes they fails to fulfill their promise, and there are some who have early maturity, but their powers also fails early, and they do not justify with their end goals. Now he gives the example of Hermogenes the Rhetoricians, and he says that he is the one who lost all his mental powers by the time he was 20 because he had studied too much. So before he was 25, he lost his mental balance. Secondly, he says there are persons who have some natural qualities, and these inborn natural qualities, dear students, they are more becoming in youth than in age. And then he gives the example of Hortensius. He says that he had a florid, passionate style in oratory, a great orator. And this style, he suited him better as a young man than when he was old. A young man full of energy can deliver very good speeches, a great orator, but by the time his energy is lost. He remained the same even in his old age. He says that Horatius, he remained the same in his old age because he had vast experience. He has developed his own style. Then there are those who begin with very high standards. See, there are certain people who begin with very high standards but are unable to carry on these high standards for a long period. And he gives the example of Scipio Africanus, the conqueror of Hannibal at Zama in 201 BC. So he says that young people, they are full of youth, full of energy, but they should have restraint, they should have patience, and they should learn from the experience of the old. He says, dear students, that the ideas should be shared, and the young men, they should learn from the experience of the old, and if they culminate, if old and young, they share their ideas, they can do wonders in any business. Dear students, I hope you have understood the essay of Youth and Age by Francis Bacon. Thank you very much.